There are those who defy time itself. They walk among us, faces untouched by the years, their presence carrying an ageless glow. They do not chase youth. Youth clings to them. Their skin, though it has seen the seasons change, does not surrender to the weight of time. Their eyes, though they have witnessed sorrow and joy, do not dull but burn ever bright. You have seen them, haven't you? The ones who move with a quiet grace, untouched by the burdens that have bent so many before them. Perhaps you are one of them. Perhaps you have been asked, time and time again, what is your secret? You have smiled, shrugged, and carried on. But the truth, the real truth, is not found in creams or potions. It is not locked away in the hands of science nor buried beneath the weight of vanity. No, the secret is hidden, woven into the fabric of your being, stitched into the choices you make, the spirit you carry, the peace you hold. And so let us pull back the curtain. Let us walk together into the quiet places, the unseen moments, the choices made when no one was looking. Let us uncover the hidden reasons why time has been kind to you, why the world sees you and wonders, how is it that you are untouched by the years? Long before you looked into the mirror and saw what the world sees, there was something working within you, something shaping you into who you are. The first whisper of youth is not in the face, nor in the body, but in the spirit. Have you ever met someone whose laughter could soften the hardest of hearts? Have you ever seen the way joy clings to them, the way it spills from their lips like honey, sweet and golden? That is where youth begins. It is not a number, nor a measurement, nor a mark upon the skin. It is the way a soul moves through the world, the way it chooses to dance when others have long since forgotten the music. But joy alone does not carry you. There is a stillness within you, a quiet river of peace that does not break under the weight of the storm. While others carry the years upon their shoulders, you have learned to let go. You do not hold on to bitterness like a prized possession. You do not carry yesterday into tomorrow. And that, my dear, is why time has not left its heavy hands upon you. For worry creases the brow, but peace smooths it. Bitterness dries the bones, but forgiveness nourishes them. The world has seen too many souls carved by regret, too many hearts wrinkled before their time. But you have let go. And in that letting go, you have remained light, untouched, unburdened. And then there is love, not just the love given to you, but the love you give freely. Love has a way of softening the edges, of turning the harshest winters into spring. It keeps the heart full, the face bright, the spirit unbreakable. When a person has spent their years loving, truly loving, they wear the evidence of it, not in lines upon their skin, but in light upon their face. Have you ever seen it? The glow of one who has spent their life pouring into others, the quiet radiance of a soul that has never run dry. That is youth, my dear. That is the secret no mirror can ever reflect, no bottle can ever hold, but there is something else, something beneath it all. The way you have fed your body, the way you have honored it, not with starvation, not with punishment, but with care. You have given it what it needs, not what the world tells you it should have. You have moved it, stretched it, allowed it to breathe. You have not let it wither under the weight of neglect, nor have you drowned it in excess. And the body, oh, the body remembers. It holds every kindness, every cruelty, and when you have treated it well, it thanks you in ways no one can quite explain. Then there is curiosity, the mind that does not settle, that does not say, I have learned enough. The one who still asks, still wonders, still reaches. Have you ever seen the way a child's eyes shine when they discover something new? That spark, it is not meant to fade. But the world, oh, the world tells you to let it go, to grow up, to stop dreaming, to settle into the dullness of routine. And many do, but not you. You have kept your curiosity, your hunger for something beyond what you already know. And that, my dear, keeps you younger than the years written upon paper. And what of laughter? Not the polite chuckle, not the practiced smile, but real, full, belly-shaking laughter, the kind that rolls through you like thunder, the kind that steals the breath from your chest, the kind that reminds the world that life, even in its heaviness, is still worth celebrating. That laughter, oh, that laughter is the fountain of youth itself. It does not just lift the spirit, it smooths the skin, brightens the eyes, fills the body with something that no tonic, no potion, no remedy could ever replace. And finally, the unseen hand of grace. The way the universe, the divine, the infinite has woven itself into your life, the way it has carried you when you did not even realize you were being carried. You have not walked alone, though at times it may have felt so. There has been a force, a power, a love that has moved through your days, shielding you, keeping you, preserving you. It is the quiet miracle of being held, even when you did not know you were being held. So here you are, standing before the world, defying the years, confounding those who try to understand, and they will ask again and again, what is your secret? And perhaps you will smile, perhaps you will shrug, but deep inside you will know. It was never just one thing. It was never just a cream, a diet, a routine. It was the way you chose to live, the way you chose to love, the way you chose to let go, to move, to laugh, to dream. And that, my dear, is why time has been kind to you. There is a mystery to you, a quiet magic that lingers in your steps, in your voice, in the way the light catches your face. It is not something that can be bottled or sold, though many have tried. They line the shelves with promises, serums, elixirs, words wrapped in gold foil and fine print, whispering that youth is a thing to be bought, a thing to be held on to with clenched fists. But you, my dear, you know better. You have never needed to chase it, for it has never left you. And so the world looks at you, studies you, tries to decipher what it is that sets you apart, what it is that allows time to pass over you like a gentle wind instead of a raging storm. It is in the way you carry yourself, in the way your shoulders do not sag under the weight of years, but instead rest with ease, as though they have made peace with time. So many fight against it, resist it, fear it. They stand before mirrors, tracing lines, counting moments lost, mourning the years as if they were something stolen rather than something lived. But you have embraced time like an old friend, neither running ahead nor lagging behind. You walk with it hand in hand, knowing that to fight time is to wear it upon your skin like a battle scar. You have made peace with the seasons, and in that peace, you have remained untouched by their cruelty. And perhaps it is in the way you speak, the way your voice holds the richness of experience, but none of the weariness of regret. There are those who have lived long but have never truly lived. Their words are heavy, their voices brittle, their laughter scarce. But your voice carries warmth, carries life, carries a knowing that does not harden but softens. You do not speak only to be heard. You speak to uplift, to pour into others, to build rather than to tear down. And so the world listens, drawn to the melody in your words, drawn to the way they hold light rather than darkness. There is a stillness in you, a steadiness that does not waver even when the storms come. Have you ever watched the way a tree sways in the wind, yet does not break? The secret is in the roots, in the unseen, in the depth of what lies beneath. And you, my dear, are rooted in something deep, something that does not bend to every passing trend, every fleeting moment. You have built yourself upon something stronger, something eternal. And so while others wither under the changing tides, you remain standing firm, untouched by the erosion that time brings to those who have no foundation. And oh, how you move. Have you ever seen the way the young carry themselves? The way they move with purpose, with energy, with a body that has not yet learned to fear motion? Somewhere along the way, the world tells us to slow down, to stiffen, to shrink ourselves into smaller spaces. But you have not forgotten the joy of movement. You have not let your body become a cage. You have allowed it to be free. You stretch, you walk, you dance when no one is looking. You have kept yourself alive not just in mind, but in form. And it shows. It is not just in the smoothness of your skin, but in the way you stand, in the way you do not crumble under the weight of years, but instead wear them with ease. But even more than the body, it is the mind that has kept you young. A mind that has not closed itself off to newness. A mind that does not believe it already knows all there is to know. You have seen those whose thoughts have grown stiff, whose ideas have hardened into walls that let nothing in and nothing out. But your mind remains open, curious, always reaching for more. You read, you learn, you ask questions. You are not afraid to be a student, not afraid to admit there is still more to see, still more to discover. And so your mind, unburdened by stagnation, remains as agile as it was in youth. And then there is gratitude. Have you noticed the way some people age before their time, not because of their bodies, but because of the weight they carry in their hearts? The weight of dissatisfaction, of always longing for more, of never quite being content. They chase something just out of reach, believing happiness is somewhere else, in some other time, in some other place. But you have learned the art of gratitude. You have learned to see the beauty in what you already have, to cherish the small joys, to find peace in the present moment. And that peace, that contentment, has settled into your very being, softening you, brightening you, keeping you from the wear and tear that discontentment brings. You have learned to let go of what does not serve you. The world tells you to hold on to old wounds, to grudges, to pain that has long since lost its purpose. But you have chosen freedom. You have not let the weight of the past carve itself into your face, into your body, into your soul. You have released it, set it down, walked forward without dragging behind you the ghosts of things long gone. And because of that, you have remained light, unburdened, untouched by the heaviness that settles upon those who refuse to let go. And love, love has been your greatest ally. Not just romantic love, not just the kind sung about in ballads and poetry, but love in its purest form. Love for life, love for people, love for yourself. Have you ever seen the way love transforms? The way it turns the weary into the radiant? The way it breathes life into places that were once barren? You have loved deeply, and in that love you have been renewed. It is the love you give that has kept you young. For love is the greatest healer, the greatest preserver, the greatest secret that no one speaks of, yet all seek. And even in the moments when life was unkind, when sorrow pressed against your chest and threatened to steal your joy, you did not let it take from you what was yours. You allowed yourself to feel, to grieve, but you did not let pain become your home. You walked through it, carried it for a time, but you did not make a home in suffering. And that, too, has kept you young. For suffering is a heavy thing, and those who refuse to let it go find themselves carrying it in their faces, in their eyes, in the very way they exist. But you chose to keep moving, to find light even in darkness, and so time did not mark you the way it marks those who have let sorrow take root. It is in the way you do not live in fear. Fear is a thief, a silent hand that takes more than it ever gives. It is written in the faces of those who have let it dictate their lives, in the lines etched deep from years of worry, of hesitation, of holding back. But you have learned that fear is nothing more than a shadow, a whisper that holds no real power unless you let it. You have chosen to live, to step forward even when uncertainty stood in your way. You have taken risks, not reckless ones, but ones that mattered, ones that made you feel alive. And so time, instead of burdening you, has carried you forward with grace. You have learned the art of balance. Too much of anything, work, rest, indulgence, deprivation, will take its toll. You have seen it in those who have poured themselves into one thing while neglecting all else. The body remembers, the mind remembers, the soul remembers. But you have found a way to give and take, to push and pull, to rest and to rise. You have fed yourself, not just with food, but with experiences, with moments that nourish you in ways the world often forgets to count. You have not let yourself be drained to emptiness, nor have you filled yourself with things that do not truly sustain. And that too has kept you light, kept you whole, kept you young. And oh, how you have laughed. There are those who have forgotten how. They wear their seriousness like armor, believing that to be joyful is to be naive. But you have never lost the ability to find humor in the small things, to let joy find its way into even the heaviest moments. You have not let life harden you, and that choice, yes, it is a choice, has made all the difference. Your laughter is not forced, not practiced, but real, rich, full. It rings out, it fills spaces, it reminds those around you that life, no matter how difficult, is still meant to be lived. And so, while others have let their joy slip through their fingers, you have held onto yours with both hands. You have surrounded yourself with the right people. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to drain the very energy from a room? How their presence alone seems to age those around them, weighing them down with negativity, with doubt, with smallness. You have known these people, but you have not let them stay. You have chosen instead to keep company with those who lift you, who inspire you, who remind you of the beauty in life. You have understood that energy is contagious, that the company you keep shapes you in ways more profound than you may ever fully realize. And so, while others have been pulled under by the weight of toxic relationships, you have risen, carried by the light of those who truly see you. You have remained present. There are those who live in the past, their minds filled with what was, with what could have been, and there are those who live in the future, always reaching, always chasing something just beyond their grasp. But you have found the power of now. You have understood that the only moment truly within your hands is this one. You have not wasted your years longing for days gone by, nor have you spent them in constant anticipation of what is to come. You have lived here, in this breath, in this space, and that presence, that awareness, has kept you from the exhaustion that so many wear like a second skin. You have listened to yourself. The body speaks, the mind speaks, the soul speaks, but so many do not listen. They push past exhaustion. They ignore the quiet warnings. They silence the voice that whispers, "Slow down, take care, rest." You have not done this. You have learned when to pause, when to heal, when to tend to yourself as gently as you would a beloved friend. And so your body has thanked you, your mind has thanked you, your spirit has thanked you. It has carried you through the years with strength, not because time has spared you, but because you have honored what was given to you. You have not let stress make a home in you. Have you seen the way it weaves itself into the body, into the skin, into the very breath of those who hold onto it too tightly? They carry it in their shoulders, in the tightness of their jaw, in the restless way they move through the world. But you have learned to release it. Not because life has been easy, no, but because you have known that carrying stress will not make the burdens lighter. You have learned to exhale, to find peace in the midst of chaos, to trust that not everything is yours to hold. And so, while others have let stress etch itself into their very being, you have remained untouched by its heavy hand. You have continued to dream. Some people stop dreaming long before their time, believing that youth is the only season for ambition, for possibility. But you have never stopped looking forward, never stopped believing that there is still more to see, more to do, more to become. You have not let yourself settle into stagnation, have not let comfort become a cage. You have kept moving, kept reaching, kept allowing yourself to imagine new possibilities. And that too has kept you young. For it is not age that wearies a person, it is the belief that there is nothing left to reach for. And you have remained kind. Have you ever noticed how kindness softens a face? How it brings warmth where there was once only hardness? You have seen those who have let resentment twist them into something unrecognizable, who have let bitterness carve deep lines into their expressions. But you have chosen differently. You have chosen to give, to uplift, to extend grace, even when it was not deserved. And in doing so, you have kept yourself free of the weight that unkindness brings. You have not let anger or envy settle into your bones, and so you have remained light, radiant, untouched by the ugliness that so many let in. And so when they look at you, when they wonder how it is that time has not taken from you what it has taken from so many others, they will search for an answer in the wrong places. They will think it is in your skincare, in your diet, in your habits. They will try to reduce it to routines and rituals, to simple explanations that can be copied and sold. But you will know the truth. It was never just one thing. It was in the way you lived, in the choices you made, in the way you carried yourself through the years with a spirit that did not bend under their weight. It was in the joy, the love, the peace you held onto. It was in the way you refused to let the world take from you what was always yours. There is something about you that lingers in the minds of those who meet you. They notice it in passing, in the way you enter a room, in the way you carry yourself, with a quiet confidence that does not need to demand attention. It is not arrogance, no, nor is it some fleeting charm that will fade with time. It is something deeper, something woven into the very essence of who you are. They see it in the way you move, in the way your eyes still hold light, in the way laughter sits so easily on your lip. And they wonder, they whisper among themselves, how is it that time has been kind to this one? But time did not simply grant you a favor. No, you have made choices. You have lived in a way that has allowed you to remain untouched by the harshness that has weathered so many. It is in the way you do not live with clenched fists. So many go through life gripping too tightly onto grudges, onto fears, onto things that were never meant to be held forever. They hold on to past mistakes as if carrying them will somehow undo them, as if regret alone could rewrite history. They hold on to pain, to anger, to wounds that have long since stopped bleeding but still take up space in their hearts. But you have learned the art of release. You have let go of what no longer serves you, have chosen peace over resentment, have allowed yourself the freedom of unburdening. And so, while others carry their past in their very posture, in the lines of their face, in the weight of their steps, you remain light, unshackled, free. It is in the way you see the world. There are those who have let life make them cynical, who have closed their hearts to wonder, who have decided that joy is for the foolish. They move through their days with a bitterness that seeps into their very being, that turns their smiles into tight-lipped facades, their laughter into something hollow. But you have not let the world steal your wonder. You have held on to curiosity, onto excitement, onto the ability to see beauty in the small, simple moments. You have looked up at the sky and marveled at its vastness, have watched the changing seasons with gratitude instead of dread. And so, while others have let their vision narrow with time, yours has remained wide, open, endless. It is in the way you care for yourself, not out of vanity, but out of love. Have you ever seen someone who has neglected themselves, who has poured so much into others that they have left nothing for their own well-being? It shows not just in their tired eyes, not just in their slumped shoulders, but in the very energy they carry. They have forgotten that to give, they must also receive, that to care for others, they must first care for themselves. But you have understood that your well-being is not selfish, that rest is not a luxury, but a necessity, that nourishment is not just for the body, but for the soul. You have taken the time to care for yourself, to replenish what life takes, to tend to your own needs with the same gentleness you offer others. And in doing so, you have kept yourself from fading, from withering under the weight of self-neglect. It is in the way you embrace change. There are those who resist it, who fight against the inevitable, who fear that to change is to lose themselves. They cling to old versions of who they were, to identities that no longer fit, to ways of being that have long since stopped serving them. But you have understood that change is not loss, but growth. You have allowed yourself to evolve, to shift, to become more of who you were meant to be. You have not held on to the past out of fear, nor have you rushed toward the future out of desperation. You have let life shape you, mold you, refine you, without letting it break you. And so, while others have grown rigid, brittle with resistance, you have remained fluid, adaptable, alive. It is in the love you have given and the love you have received. Have you ever noticed how love has a way of making people glow? Not just the fleeting passion of infatuation, but real, deep, unwavering love. Love that nurtures, love that strengthens, love that does not take, but gives. You have surrounded yourself with love, not just romantic love, but the love of friendship, of family, of community. You have given it freely, without condition, without fear, and in doing so, you have received it in return. And love, true love, does something to a person. It softens them, it brightens them, it gives them a kind of radiance that no cream or treatment could ever replicate. And so while others have let loneliness carve itself into their features, you have let love keep you whole. It is in the way you move through pain. Have you ever seen the way sorrow can weigh on a person? How grief can leave its mark long after the moment of loss has passed? Some people hold on to their pain, not realizing that healing does not mean forgetting, that moving forward does not mean dismissing what was. But you have allowed yourself to grieve without letting grief define you. You have honored your pain, acknowledged it, felt it fully, but you have not let it take root in your heart. You have chosen to heal, to find meaning in the hardships, to let the wounds close instead of keeping them open. And so, while others have let sorrow age them, you have let healing restore you. It is in the kindness you have chosen. Have you ever noticed how those who carry anger in their hearts also carry it in their bodies? How bitterness has a way of settling into the very way a person moves, into the sharpness of their tone, into the hardness of their gaze? Some people believe that to be kind is to be weak, but you have understood that kindness is strength, that to love in a world that so often chooses cruelty is an act of courage. You have chosen to be gentle when the world has been harsh, to be patient when frustration was easier, to be forgiving when resentment seemed justified. And that choice, that unwavering decision to be kind, has kept you from becoming hardened. It has kept your spirit soft, your heart open, your face free of the lines that anger carves into those who cannot let it go. It is in the way you have stayed true to yourself. Have you ever noticed how some people seem weighed down by the expectations of others, by the masks they wear, by the versions of themselves they present to the world? They have spent so much time trying to be what others want them to be that they have forgotten who they are. And it shows in the way they hesitate before speaking, in the way they second-guess their own choices, in the way they seem exhausted by the very act of being. But you have remained authentic. You have not bent yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You have not dimmed your light to make others comfortable. You have not apologized for taking up space. And so while others have let the weight of falsehoods burden them, you have remained light, unencumbered, free. And when they ask you, when they come to you searching for an answer, for a secret, for some formula they can follow, you may smile. You may tell them what they want to hear, that you drink enough water, that you sleep well, that you take care of your skin. But deep down, you will know. You will know that it was never just one thing. It was in the way you lived, in the choices you made, in the love you gave and received, in the peace you held on to. It was in the way you refused to let life steal your joy, in the way you moved through pain without letting it define you, in the way you embraced change instead of fearing it. It was in the way you chose to live, fully, deeply, without hesitation. And so, while others search for youth in bottles and treatments and fleeting tricks, you have found it where it has always been, in the heart, in the mind, in the spirit that refuses to be weighed down by time. There is something about you that defies the passage of time, something that cannot be bottled or sold, something that no mirror can fully capture. It lingers in the way you move, in the way your eyes still hold the same fire they did when you first dared to dream, in the way your presence alone feels like a balm to those who cross your path. It is not just youthfulness they see in you. It is something deeper, something richer, something untouched by the wear and tear that life leaves on so many. They search for explanations, for reasons, for formulas they can follow, but they do not understand that what they see in you cannot be reduced to mere habits or routines. It is in the way you refuse to let life harden you. Some people wear their struggles like a second skin, letting hardship etch itself into their expressions, into their voices, into the way they carry themselves. They believe that suffering is a badge of honor, that to be weathered by time is proof that they have lived. But you have learned that pain does not have to leave a permanent mark, that suffering does not have to define you. You have allowed yourself to feel deeply without allowing grief to take up residence in your spirit. You have known sorrow, but you have also known joy, and you have chosen to let joy be the force that shapes you. And so, while others have let time take its toll, you have remained light, as if unburdened by the weight of years. It is in the way you have kept moving. Have you ever noticed how stillness can become stagnation, how comfort can turn into a cage? Some people stop moving long before their bodies do. They settle into routines that offer no growth, into lives that no longer inspire them, into spaces where they feel safe but no longer feel alive. They let their dreams shrink, let their ambitions fade, let the fire in them dwindle until only embers remain. But you have never stopped moving toward something. You have never let yourself become still in a way that drains you of life. You have continued to learn, to grow, to expand beyond the limits the world has placed on you. And so, while others have let time slow them down, you have remained in motion, ever reaching, ever evolving. It is in the way you do not allow bitterness to take root in you. Have you ever met someone who has let resentment become a part of them? You can hear it in their words, in the way they speak of the past as though it still has them trapped, in the way their laughter carries an edge, as though joy is something foreign to them now. But you have not allowed yourself to become bitter. You have not let disappointments turn into walls that keep love and light from reaching you. You have not allowed yourself to believe that life owes you something. Instead, you have moved forward. You have chosen gratitude. You have found lessons in the pain instead of excuses to stay trapped in it. And that choice has kept you free. It is in the way you have embraced simplicity. The world will tell you that happiness is in the chase, in the pursuit of more success, more validation, more possessions. And yet, you have seen how this endless seeking exhausts people, how it takes from them more than it ever gives. You have seen how those who have everything can still look empty, still look worn, still look older than their years. But you have found contentment not in excess, but in enough. You have found beauty in the small moments, in the quiet joys, in the things that cannot be bought. You have understood that richness is not always found in what you own, but in how you live. And so while others have spent their years chasing what they will never catch, you have spent yours in appreciation of what you already have. It is in the way you have let go of control. Some people grip so tightly onto life, onto expectations, onto the need to always be in charge, and in doing so, they exhaust themselves. They live in a constant state of tension, afraid of what they cannot change, unwilling to surrender to the natural ebb and flow of time. But you have learned the power of release. You have understood that not everything is meant to be controlled, that not every outcome is in your hands, that peace is found not in holding on, but in letting go. You have trusted in the unfolding of your journey, have allowed life to take its course without resistance, and that trust, that surrender, has saved you from the exhaustion that so many wear like a heavy cloak. It is in the way you have chosen love. Love not just in the romantic sense, but in the way you have moved through the world with an open heart. Have you ever seen how love softens a person? how it keeps them from becoming rigid, how it allows them to remain light. You have chosen love in the way you speak, in the way you listen, in the way you give without expecting anything in return. You have not let heartbreak turn you cold, have not let betrayals convince you to close yourself off. You have kept your heart open, even when it hurt, even when the world gave you reasons to shut it down. And in doing so, you have remained vibrant, alive, untouched by the dullness that comes with closing oneself off from love. It is in the way you have cultivated joy. Some people believe that joy is something that happens to them, that it is dependent on circumstances, on external forces beyond their control. But you have understood that joy is a choice. You have found reasons to smile even when the world gave you reasons not to. You have sought out beauty in places others have overlooked. You have found laughter in the mundane, delight in the ordinary, magic in the seemingly insignificant. And that joy, that lightness of spirit has kept you from being weighed down by the heaviness that so many carry. It is in the way you have nurtured hope. Have you ever noticed how some people let disappointment turn them into skeptics? How they build walls around their hearts so high that not even possibility can reach them? They have let the weight of failed dreams, of missed opportunities, of hardships convince them that hope is foolish. But you have held on to hope even when it seemed unreasonable. You have believed in the possibility of new beginnings, have trusted that better days were always ahead. You have not let the past dictate your future, have not let fear keep you from stepping forward. And so while others have let despair settle into their bones, you have remained lifted by the quiet, unwavering belief that there is still more to come. It is in the way you have remained curious. Some people stop asking questions, stop seeking new experiences, stop being fascinated by the world around them. They believe that growing older means growing stagnant, that wisdom is found in knowing rather than in wondering. But you have never stopped being curious. You have remained open, willing to learn, willing to see the world with fresh eyes no matter how many years have passed. You have never let yourself believe that you have seen all there is to see, have never let yourself become too settled, too certain, too rigid in your understanding of life. And so, while others have let time make them small, you have remained expansive, always reaching, always growing, always learning. And so, when they look at you, when they marvel at how time has not touched you the way it has touched others, they will search for explanations in the wrong places. They will ask about your routines, your habits, your secrets, believing that youthfulness is something that can be copied, something that can be borrowed. But you will know. You will know that it was never just one thing, never just one choice, never just one habit. It was in the way you lived, in the love you gave, in the peace you held on to, in the joy you refused to let go of. It was in the way you walked through life, not as if it was something to endure, but as if it was something to savor, something to embrace, something to celebrate. And that is why time has not taken from you what it has taken from so many others. And so when they stand before you, searching for answers, grasping at the illusion of youth as if it is something that can be bottled, you will smile, not out of secrecy, but out of knowing. For the secret they seek is not in the surface, not in the fleeting remedies or the temporary fixes they chase. It is not in the creams, the routines, or the desperate attempts to rewind the clock. No, it is in the way you have lived. It is in the way you have chosen love over bitterness, joy over sorrow, movement over stagnation. It is in the way you have carried light within you, refusing to let the weight of time dim your spirit. They will wonder how you have remained untouched by the years, why your presence still carries the same energy, the same vibrancy, the same radiance that many lose along the way. But you will know it was never about defying time. It was about embracing it. It was about living fully, deeply, without hesitation. And in doing so, in choosing to live rather than merely exist, you have discovered something far greater than youth. You have discovered life itself, untouched, unshaken, beautifully whole.